Hello, everybody. Pursuant to our study of functions, we are examining a simulation of a cannon firing. And what we've explored so far is that there's a variety of different variables in the simulation, and we are working on pairing off those variables in function relationships. So what I'm explored here is the relationship between the drag coefficient and the horizontal distance fired. So I repeated this experiment and I collected data. So this is basically what we should have done in this activity thus far. We should have stated the function relationship. We should have anything that's fixed parameters. For example, I didn't change the angle, the initial speed, the mass, the diameter. I didn't change any of those things, and I wanted to make sure all of that information, including the fact that the cannon starts at the origin, the original position, all of that stuff is just to make sure that I can simulate this experiment again as needed. Then I changed the drag coefficient, as I said, and I measured the horizontal distance with the tape measure and gathered all the data that you see here. So that's where we are now, and what our purpose is to basically figure out all the different ways that we can work with functions. And so far we have the language of functions, and that's, cause and effect relationships, function relationships, and now we have data tables, and the data table is one way of expressing explicitly particular outcomes for a function. Now we're going to convert this into a scatter plot, which can then be converted into an equation for now using technology. So I pushed the document through to everybody, which will have step-by-step instructions, and I'll go through those instructions now so you can see what everything is supposed to look like. So for starters, we're going to go back to our data collection, and we're going to highlight the data table, and we can do Control V or Control C for copy, or we can go up to Edit and hit copy. So we've copied the data table. Now my objective is to eventually put these data into Desmos, but Desmos will not recognize the copy clipboard from Docs. So what you have to do is you need to go to Google, and in the waffle here you'll find Google Sheets, or you can start to open a new Google Sheet from Google Drive itself. Either way, you open a new sheet, you go to the first cell, and you can edit, paste, and there, again, is the exact same data table. Now it's in a format that Desmos likes. Desmos approved. So I'm going to hit copy this table, and now I'm going to go to my instructions page. Now that I've copied the table, I'm going to follow the link in step 5. And that opens up a brand new Desmos calculator that's been preset. Now these are 5 functions that are in general terms, and they're programmed in a way to read the data that you plot. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to go down to the 5th line, and you have to use the key shortcuts for this. You do Control V for paste. And there you see the viewing window has been adjusted, and all of the data that you collected have been plotted in a scatter plot. This is the work, of course, that we did by hand for homework. Now we can see how easy it is for the computer to do that work for us. Anyway, these titles here are x2, y2, and all of my equations are x1, y1. So I'm going to go through here and manually change my x1 to y, x2 to y, oh my goodness. I'm going to change the x2 to x1, and I'm going to change the y2 to y1. And all of a sudden, all of these functions just magically appear all over the screen, which doesn't really mean much to me or you, but what we can do now is select the ones that work. I look at the red and it doesn't seem to fit the data at all, so I'm going to click off the red one. That looks a lot better. And now these 3 seem to fit the data okay, but between the 3 of them, there's the green one, the blue one. This red one seems to fit really, really well, and I can see this number here. The closer that number is to 1, the better fit I have. Of course, right here, I see an even better fit, because it says that the r squared is equal to 1. So it looks like this function, which is a type of power function, is going to be the function that will best fit my data. Really happy to see such a nice fit. Anyway, the equation's values for A, we'll find that it says A x to the b power plus c. The b power is here, 0.48555, so that'll go in that spot. The a coefficient is negative 5.7677, so that would go in for this a, and the c value is 35.809. That'll go right in there for c. So now I have my equation. What I'll probably have to do is to write this equation out in paper, because on a clean sheet of paper, because I'll be using it later. Anyway, now that I have that all chosen, the rest of the work that is done, I think, will be, well, self-explanatory. What I am going to do is create another video which will show what to do in part 2. So, now that you know what it should look like, follow the directions step by step and you should be okay. So for part 2 we're going to do a little bit more with that work, so stay tuned.